It's a weird thing, especially in contemporary American culture. It's the gender stuff, but in particularly the softening of the male. There's a real fear of the wild. There's a fear of wildness, and as a result, everything kind of gets flattened, and the wildness is still there. And I think that's when you see, these upsurges of violence. It's almost, you could look at it, if you look at it really a more bigger picture, it's like, and even mass shootings or stuff like that. In a way, it's a kind of
Release
psychic
valve,
eruption.
kind
Psychic
of.
eruption.
Even how we walk into the woods these days, we go hiking and, you're up in the mountains and stuff, and we go on these long walks. Because we have eliminated so much of the large predator mammals, we don't think about walking into, unless you're in Wyoming or like Montana, you're not going to go find a black bear on your trail necessarily, or a moose or a cougar. I mean, it definitely happens, especially in the Rockies up here. But like, we walk into the woods banging and clamoring, thinking there's nothing out there but us. And so we've kind of lost a sense of awareness. When we walk out there, we're not present. We're, talking, and we don't actually have our presence with us when we're actually navigating the world. Our culture these days is running through issues of meaninglessness and how do I deal with life when there's been the loss, when we're going through this catapult into transhumanism versus the real human heart. This is the synthetic life that's kind of being presented as one. This is the better one. We've been so trying to get out. The escapism has been so strong that we don't even know how to ground down and go discern, this is what's real, this is what isn't. And I think that's part of the idea. We don't actually know how to wrestle with our own darkness, our own danger. And so, wandering into the wilderness or wandering into the underworld is kind of the same thing, because there's a wilderness outside of us and there's kind of one on the inside of us as well.
That you have to learn how to navigate, right?
Absolutely. The map is not the territory.
Yeah, right, yeah.
For people who are not familiar with hunting, for instance, the consciousness you have to get into to be successful at it is, you don't just go out there or take a guess at the Spanish philosopher in his book Meditations on Hunting. He calls it a vacation from modernity, from the human experience, because you kind of enter back into nature. You're a part of nature again, and then you realize how enormously difficult it is. And then you have to adapt or adopt a new kind of consciousness that is difficult to do.
The biggest issue I think happening in the next probably 5 to 20 years is that if people can rescue their humanity or not, and that's going to be the biggest
Wow.
pivot of whether or not we submit to technocracy or transhumanism. As just, it follows in so much this idea of escapism. Like, please just don't make it hurt anymore. Give me a way out. And people do that in all kinds of ways. They numb themselves with religion, with drugs, with alcohol, and maybe a computer, and maybe an upload of consciousness to nowhere, to no man's land. They might, I can see the archons, as Michael and I talk about, being willing to make the earth so painfully inhabitable that it almost seems like a godsend and a mercy to go jump into a silicon body.
Wow. Crazy. And we're asking people whether they're working in cubicles to put on a certain demeanor, whether they're doing customer service stuff at McDonald's or really anywhere. But to wear these false demeanors, they're saying it's very, very, very exhausting. It's almost like we have to go for authenticity or die. Let's put no more masks. The human face, the persona. This is a big theme in the Trappist monastery I worked, the real face. Let's put all of our eggs in that basket, and it will transform society around it,